At 10, the families of 74 sailors killed on this ship during the Vietnam War say they are still fighting to get their loved ones recognized. Those 74 sailors died in support of the war effort, but their names were never included on the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C.
KTVU's Amber Lee spoke with a Bay Area family about their long fight to get the sailors recognized. Amber.
Frank, Julie, I spoke with the Novato family of Lawrence Reilly Jr. He was one of those sailors killed on board the USS Frankie Evans. Relatives say the 74 men made the ultimate sacrifice, but have been all but forgotten. The turbulent 60s. Vietnam was an unpopular war, and protests raged across the country.
We realized it was a very painful time in our country, but that pain hasn't stopped.
For Larry Reilly and his uncle Jim, that pain is still palpable as they step back in time, poring over old photos and newspaper clippings. June 3rd, 1969, a day they'll never forget. Two family members were serving on the USS Frankie Evans. Lawrence Sr. and his 20-year-old son Lawrence Jr. An Australian ship struck the destroyer, slicing it in half during a training exercise in the South China Sea. The father survived. The son lost at sea with other men. He left behind a young wife and a 14-month-old son named after him.
I never had my dad. My son will never have his grandfather, and that's painful.
Adding to their pain is that the names of the 74 sailors were never included on the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C. The Evans had seen combat, providing gunfire support to U.S. Marines on the ground in Vietnam, but had traveled outside the official war zone to rearm, train.
What I consider a very proud and long tradition of military service in the family. And I think it's dishonorable to the service of all the members of our family that my brother's name is not on that wall.
The Reillys say they suspect politics is behind the exclusion of the 74 men from the memorial wall.
The United States government was unhappy about the fact that 74 guys got killed in one incident in 1969 at a time when there was a lot of anti-war sentiment in the United States.
The Reillys and the families of the other men lost at sea say they've contacted their congresspeople and written to the president for years without success.
It has taken a long time. I'm determined to stay with this until we succeed.
California Congressman Adam Schiff says he's working with the families. And while the Secretary of the Navy agrees the 74 men should be included, Schiff says the final decision will come from the Secretary of Defense and available space on the wall.
That, I think, has been the primary holdup, but I think we're seeing an increasing level of support, certainly in the Congress.
The Reillys say this form letter from Arizona Senator John McCain indicates another holdup. Funding.
It's ridiculous, and it makes me angry. They served their country, and they did it honorably, and they did it without complaint. And for that, they've been kicked in the teeth.
Lawrence Sr., the father who survived, is now 91 years old and living in upstate New York.
I would like my father to be able to go down there, trace my brother's name off the wall.
Reillys and other families hope members of the public will write to their representatives, the president, and the Secretary of Defense. The Reillys say they won't rest until their loved one has his rightful place of honor on the Vietnam War Memorial.
Yeah, you can see how much it means to the family. How much does it cost to add a name, one name, to the memorial?
Well, the family tells me it costs $2,300 for each name. And they're trying to raise that, and they want to make sure that all 74, not just their loved one, gets on that wall.
I still just don't get it. I mean, it just seems like how hard would it be to put the names up there, and why wouldn't they? And then you listen to the son talk about how he wants his 91-year-old dad to be able to go down onto the Vietnam Memorial and be able to stencil his son's name. I just don't get it.
They're very frustrated. They're sad and angry, and that's why they said they turned to us to ask us to publicize what's going on, so maybe public pressure will finally get them those names on the wall after decades of trying.
It seems to me you can't honor our veterans enough. Anybody who's willing to put their life on the line for something